my t-shirt, link in the description below. If my hair appears to be a bit wet, it's because I just got out of the shower and I have crabs. Hedron crabs. Crab Tribal, also known as Mill, colloquially, or to Scrubs, is a blue-black deck looking to put your opponent's library into their graveyard as fast as humanly possible. Now, this is a valid win condition in Magic because if you go to draw a card from an empty library, you lose the game. It's part of the rules, potentially originally in the game to help avoid long drawn-out stalemates where everyone draws the whole decks over 3 hours because their decks are bad and creatures used to be bad and cards just used to be really bad back in the day. It soon became a tool or a weapon for people to utilize to beat their opponents from as early as Revised, where Millstone was printed. This is where the name Mill comes from, a card introduced in Revised. Millstone is the first milling effect in Magic, where it would tap to put 2 cards on top of an opponent's library into their graveyard. No, it wasn't very good then, and it isn't that good now. It references real-world millstones, which are traditionally used within flour mills to grind grain into flour. That's right, you're literally grinding your opponent's library into dust. That does sound pretty badass in a fucked up kind of vindictive way. Some people love mill and others despise it. Now, that might seem like a obvious statement you could say about many decks within Modern, especially, you know, a certain Tron. I mean, fuck Tron, am I right? But Mill seems to be more polarizing than these other decks, in the sense that it's very popular with new players and beginners or casuals, and then it becomes revered over time by the similar players, and more established and franchise players don't really like the deck very much. I asked the question of Magic Twitter to see what the community thought. Some people gave helpful discussion points, like the idea that the deck is a Skinner box of sorts that feels inherently rewarding to play on multiple levels, like feeling clever, a visual feedback loop that is appealing, and that it makes you feel powerful to destroy your opponent's creations. Others showed me their crab infestations. You probably should get that looked up by a doctor, mate, especially the curvature of that thumb. Others took this moment to tell me about their predictions for a milk sub-theme in Core 2020. Speedle Beetle wrote, "I just want to say we're totally going to get a set with a huge milk theme sometime in the future. It doesn't seem to be returning in Modern Horizons and people love it.
But I can sell the 5 milk counters to the grocery store that I have on my side of the field for $15 dairy dollars."
And some were just a lot more blunt. Steve Payne said, "'Cause mill players are cunts." And then finally some others compared the deck to Burn. Same reason people hate Burn, it's basically the same deck. But this last point's an interesting one. I would like to suggest that Mill isn't dissimilar to Burn in the fact that you're looking to count to 60 where Burn wants to count to 20. However, there are key differences. When burning an opponent's life away, you aren't given any information, nor can you use their graveyard as a resource to enable specific cards or to disrupt your opponent. Mill has these intricacies that help to reward format knowledge, where Burn is more concerned with its own game plan. It's more linear in that sense. Secondly, Burn is lame and Mill is cool. Mill is kinda like Burn, but with the stabilizers off. It's like Burn on hard mode. It's like if Burn is for cowards, then Mill is for warriors. Mill is for warriors! So this is Blue-Black Modern Mill. It doesn't have anything particularly spicy in it, and it's kind of a stock list of the archetype, if there is such a thing. I stole the list from the first one that came up on Google when I googled it, a 32nd place winner from Grand Prix Leon last year. However, I made one important change. Layline of the Void, more like Shitline of the Cunts. We swapped these out for 4 copies of the new uncommon Ashiok from War of the Spark. Why? Well, she does a lot of what Leyline needs to do, but better sometimes and with a lot more versatility. We all know most Leylines suck, if not in your opening hand. The reason that Void sucks more than most is that it doesn't have an ETB trigger that removes what's in the graveyard at once cast. Where Rest in Peace undoes the damage already done and stops damage in future, Leyline of the Void's kind of a band-aid on a huge gaping wound that is Dredge. Essentially, if you draw it late game, Dredge or Goryo's or Phoenix, it might just be a dead card that doesn't do anything. Ashiok doesn't come down on turn 0, granted, so she's a bit slower, but she does exile the graveyard once she's done milling, which is another point. She mills for 4, up to 5 times. Milling 20 over the course of a game is huge and is no joke. And she hates on fetch lands, Chord of Calling, Scapeshift, Search for Tomorrow, Primeval Titan, and other searchy friends. Cat Jesus would be proud. This makes her a far more versatile and appealing sideboard card than the clunky ley lines. Our primary game plan is to resolve our best source of recurring mill, that is Hedron Crab, Manic Scribe and Mesmeric Orb. These allow us to continually mill our opponents every turn and get to our goal. Mesmeric Orb itself helps to enable other cards in the deck, such as Search for Canter, the Manic Scribe I just mentioned, and the Delve out of one of our sideboard cards too. These are all helped out by the largest mill spells in the game, Archive Trap and Glimpse the Unthinkable. They are the one-shots in the deck that are the closest to being simple burn spells like Lava Spike. Their utility is minimal, but their damage to our opponent's library of spells is huge. An Archive Trap is often free, and as any of you will know, free spells are often broken. On top of that, we hide behind ensnaring bridges, killing their creatures with fatal pushes and picking apart our opponent's game plan with mainboard surgical extractions. Funnily enough, the 4 copies of Surgical Extraction in the deck is the most expensive playset of anything that we're playing at $50 a pop. Dearer than the fetch lands. Jesus fucking Christ almighty. We look to generate card advantage through our Visions of Beyond, which sometimes is just an Ancestral Recall, and activating Shelldock Isle for free spells. And that's it really. We want to dodge hyper-aggressive decks and any deck with an Emrakul in it, and probably face off against combo decks where our mill plus surgical plan might just be enough to stop them from being able to win entirely. Simple. Now, so you guess how I did across 6 games. I actually played around 9 to 10 games of the deck. I've played with Blue-Black Mill a little bit in the past, so I've got a little bit of experience with it. On the whole, the deck is considered to be just a meme, a joke, a tier 3 obscurity that no one really likes to lose to. So place your bets now. Go down to the comment section and write down what you think the record's going to be, and then we can come back to it at the end. Do you think it's just a fucking meme? Do you think it's just a blue and black waffle, you know, covered in pus and pustules and spots and shit? Like one stank fanny crack. Oh, fuck, I didn't think I'd be saying fanny crack today. I didn't think I'd be saying that. I didn't wake up thinking that would be something I'd say in a video. Or is it the next big thing, finally finding its place in the metagame, ready to chew through the big boys and girls of the format? Well, there's only one way to find out, isn't there? Let's play some Magic. We play a crab and pass. Our opponent leads off with a tower, so we're in for a real test of our mettle now. We play a second crab, play a land drop, mill for 6, and find our opponents on one of the most powerful combat decks in all of Modern. And no, it's not Electric Sex Pants Vindaloo. This is Mono Red Tron. They play a mountain and pass, and we play a fetch land, crack it, and mill them for 12. Seems decent. This Field of Ruin would be perfect to disrupt Tron, but a turn 2 mountain allows us to play another spell and not have to take them off Tron this turn. We Collective Brutality them and find Anger of Gods. Looks like he was looking to cook some Hedron Crab patties. Not today, Satan. We rip it from their hand and attack with our crab to send a message. What is that message, I hear you ask? Well, it's just crabs, really. They play the mine that we know they have. We know they have another power plant in hand too. We play a Shelldock Isle and put a surgical under it. In my experience with the deck now, you want to always put the final kill spell, a big mill spell under it, like a Glimpse of the Unthinkable or an Archive Trap if it can be helped. In their draw step, we blow up our opponent's mine and get another landfall trigger from the crab, milling them for 6. The reason we do this in draw step is in case they've drawn the only basic, for example. It's unlikely here in Mono Red Tron, but some decks only play 1 or 2 basics, so we get them and they don't get to find it. These are all good habits. They cast Tormenting Voice, which is nice, it draws them deeper and makes the mill kill easier. We Brutality again and fail to hit anything. Interestingly, we check and all of their towers are in the graveyard at this point. No Tron for you today, my friend. Good night, Mr. Tron. We play Search for his Canter and pass back. They play a Chandra of the Firebrand, often considered one of the worst Chandras. However, she is good at copying Banefire, so less of your bad mouthing, you cunts. I can hear you sitting in your fucking ivory tower, thinking you're better than Chandra. Vince, mate, leave it. Leave it out, buddy. Alright, it's just not worth it. It's not worth it. Come on. It's not worth it. It's a waste of space. Leave it. Leave it. We glimpse them, leaving them with 4 cards in their library. We then Surgical Assault in their bin to take the one out of their hand. Our opponent uses Chandra to double Banefire to kill both crabs. Little bit mean, a little bit excessive, but whatever. We untap, Archive Trap them, and they scoop with Archive Trap on the stack. In game 2, we keep our hand with 3 lands, including a Field of Ruin, alongside a crab and this Manic Lad. They play 2 Tron lands and fetch a mountain with their map, telling me that they have a mine in hand. We mill them for 6 off of Delta, then cast Orb. They untap, play a mountain, play a Mind Stone, cast Tormenting Voice. Perhaps the red source was for removal that's coming to kill our crabs, I'm not sure. We Field of Ruin their power plant and draw step, and they mill a shitload from untapping off of our Mesmeric Orb. Field of Ruin triggers our crab too, which feels pretty solid. They play nothing and pass back to us. We play not 1 Manic Lad, but 2 absolutely mad lads. It's going to be absolutely mental. It's going to be manic, top banter, like a stag do or bachelor party where the best man just won't stop talking about getting pegged. We attack them with the crab to raise morale for the team. Also, I don't get to attack with crabs very often in Magic. And no, Chameleon Colossus does not count, you fucking fools. We surgical Faithless looting in draw step. Always do your surgical in draw step if there's a chance to catch a freshly drawn card in hand, much like you would do with a Field of Ruin or Ghost Quarter. They angle the goods my board away, cooking these poor crabs in their shells. And then they play a map. We untap and draw Ancestor Recall, so we draw 3 cards for 1 fucking mana. That's value. Shame they're all lands though, eh? We play a Shelldock, find a crab and put it under the shell. We play a Bridge in case of random Warp Call engines being cast. They play a Chandra, we untap, draw Glimpse and glimpse them into oblivion. GG Mill E. If we can beat Mono Red Tron, one of the best decks in the entire format, the world is a proverbial oyster. Or crab. Crab's probably, yeah.
The stages of the game will also be based on famous battles which actually took place in ancient Japan. So here's this giant enemy crab.
We lead Shelldock Isle and our opponent plays a Bloodstained Mire. They fetch a Stomping Ground, making me think this is Jund. They then cast Explore, play a fetch and crack it. This ain't no Jund, buddy. This is some form of Scapeshift. Now, I read somewhere recently on my travels that this is a good matchup, so let's hope so. That said, these Fatal Pushes in hand seem a bit dead in this matchup, let's be honest. We play a crab and we mill them. We see her through the breach, so it's probably Titan Breach, which is fine. Let's hope we don't have a random Emrakul in the deck. Most breach players don't play it, but we also just play against Mono Red Tron in the 1v1 room, so it's anyone's fucking guess right now. They play a Steve and we draw a Surgical. We cast a Bridge to avoid Primeval Titan swinging into us, and we take a closer look at their graveyard in order to figure out what to Surgical. Ideally, we want to hit Scapeshift if they're playing it, or Primeval Titan itself. We see 1 Titan in the graveyard, but that said, we have a Bridge in play, so Titan isn't much of an issue, as it's unlikely they'll have a way to deal with the Bridge main board. So we really want to hit Scapeshift again, if they're playing it. This is just an assumption at this point. When playing, I convinced myself they were playing Scapeshift alongside the Titans, but as you'll see shortly, it looks like they just weren't. Our opponent cast a Titan. Now I wish I'd Surgical the Titan and draw step, but what can you do? They get 2 Valakuts, play a land, and get 2 bolts. Crab gets lightly sauteed with some salt, some pepper, and a little bit of fenugreek. We get bolted. Steve gets all laggy and slaps us upside the head. We Field of Ruin the second Valakut and then play a Manic Lad. Scribe lands, mills them for some more, and I look to use Surgical now, but I decide I want to hold it for Scapeshift. I'm basically convinced at this point there's Scapeshift in the deck. So at the time I was also counting Mountains. They only have 1 Stomping Ground left in their deck, and perhaps 1 or 2 Cinderglades at this point. According to Goldfish, Scapeshift doesn't play more than 5 basic mountains. For this reason, being scared of Scapeshift was dumb, as they couldn't kill us off of it, but I hadn't realised that. I'd realised they had very few mountains left, but for some reason I was still playing around Scapeshift. Hindsight is a beautiful thing. I was pretty confident at this point that as long as we didn't let Titan under our bridge, then we could not lose this game. They lightning bolt our Scribe and attack with Steve. Calm down, Steve. You get a bit aggy, mate. No one likes it when you get aggy. Calm down, calm down. We use Visions of Beyond under our Shelldock to draw 3 cards, lands and another Visions. We draw 3 more cards because why the fuck not, right? Value. We Surgical their Cinderglade in order to see if they have any more mountains left. No, they have none. Good shit. Not a Scapeshift in sight at this point, by the way, as well. However, they have 1 main board Woodfall Primus, probably a direct answer to the rising tide of Bridge and Khan players in the format. Fuck me, did anyone get the memo? This isn't Cube. Woodfall Primus? Huh. This is horrifying. We need to mill that over and just pray they don't randomly draw it. I decided to lower the chance of getting Woodfalled by exiling all the Summoners packs from their library and graveyard with my second Surgical. This feels like a top level play. The not so top level play is not paying life for it that I couldn't play my crab this turn, because now I have 6 cards in hand, and Titan gets to swing. Shit the bed. We go to 5, they play a second Titan, they decide to fail to find to leave some cards in their own library. Fair enough. We crab, land, push the Steve to hide under our fucking bridge again. We mill them for 9 cards in deck. They play another Steve and we push that cunt dead. We untap, play a Delta, crack it and mill them for 6. We do not mill the Primus though. Fucking no way. One of the last 2 cards in their deck that will kill our bridge and thus kill us is the Woodfall Primus. We clench. This is real 5p territory here. Did they draw it? Did they draw it? Of course they fucking drew it. As my estranged uncle with a meth addiction and a wooden eye always says, it's better to be lucky than good. In game 2 we play a turn 2 Orb, but it gets Shattering Spreed, which is fair enough. We fail to hit our 3rd land drop by turn 4, so we just shitload of 3 drops, including the non-both Ashiok and Crypt Incursion. The sadness is real. They cast a turn 4 Primeval Titan whilst we don't have 3 mana available. We Edict the Titan with Devour Flesh. They gain 6 life, but at least we aren't staring down the barrel of a Titan, and also, them gaining life doesn't fucking matter to us. Our crab gets fried in some butter with some lemongrass and chili by the first Valakut trigger. The second one nugs us on the chin. We find another land, finally, and we play everyone's favourite androgynous nightmare monster, Ashiok, and we exile their graveyard after milling 4. They play a Woodfall Primus out of their hand and blow up on Ashiok. Sadness. At this point, I don't think I'm actually winning this game. It's not looking good. We play a bridge to put a stop to this pesky Truefoot trampling all over our lawn. They play their own 4-mana green crab because everybody loves crabs. And then they play a Mana Monkey. We stick an Ashiok to avoid them searching off of Primetime, Scapeshift or Summoner's Pact. Monkey takes us to 9. We glimpse the Unthinkable them, but decide not to tick down an Ashiok in order to allow us to gain life next turn. They cast a Summoner's Pact and nothing happens because, well, Ashiok. Got 'em. We go to 7. We gain 12 life off of Crypt Incursion, then activate Ashiok, leaving them with 5 cards in the library and inability to attack us through bridge. They bolt and kill the Ashiok and pay for the pact from last turn. We crack our fetch and end step to thin, untap, draw Glimpse the Unthinkable, and glimpse them so hard their nipples fall off. We mulligan an unkeepable hand into an OK6, we lead Shoulder Isle. Nothing from them turn 2, we play an Orb and pass back, Steve from them. We lead Crab into Polluted Delta, milling for 6. Orb is doing its job every turn. Another Steve, another fetch line getting a non-shock shock land. In reality, by the way, if you're playing against Mesmeric Orb, you always shock yourself to minimise untaps and use your life total as a resource you aren't being threatened on. We untap, Field of Ruin the Valakut and cast Search for Azcanta. We then pay life to surgical away their Titans, which feels good. They untap, mill from Orb and turn on our Ancestral Recall. They cast the Gaze Revenge we knew was coming because we saw it in their hand with the Surgical. It attacks, we take 8. Wowza, that's one hell of a fucking clock. They will untap and mill 7 cards, leaving them with 15 in library. This allows us to get them over the next 2 turns if we just draw 1 big mill spell. We draw 3 cards after putting a Delta in the bin off of Azcanta and flipping it. We make a land drop and glimpse them. Then we archive trap them from under my hideaway land I played earlier as well. GG empty library. This content and all of the videos on my channel are brought to you in part by channelfireball.com, your #1 source for news, strategy and a shop for Magic singles and sealed products. They support and sponsor me to make these whimsical and silly videos. A big shout out to them for the continued love and support. Also, I have a Patreon, a place where people can regularly opt to give me money to help support me doing this as a full-time gig. For just $2 a month, you can help support me in making these videos and continue to be a content creator and join my Discord community. My largest contributors are on screen now. These lads and lasses help to keep the lights on and a roof over my head whilst I boil packs of Magic cards and shout about Magic-themed hentai. There's a link in the description below. If you can spare a few bucks, it goes a long way towards helping me keep the channel running and growing. It also gets you access to the Discord server where we hang out and we chat a lot of shit. Like, honestly, so much shit. And it's fucking glorious. An Untapped Island screams Spell Snare to me, which seems to be seeing more and more play again after falling out of favour. Why? I don't fucking know. Magic players are wild, mad creatures. I decide that Orb is too valuable to risk. I fire off Glimpse and they counter it with a Spell Snare. Oof, that's soul read from your boy, huh? They surgical my Glimpse, which is weird for a few reasons. Firstly, why are people playing so many fucking main board surgicals? This makes me feel that this is either Phoenix or the Mirror, or someone's just playing main board surgical in another deck. It's bizarre. Modern is a mess. It needs fixing. Secondly, Surgical on Glimpse feels a little, I don't know, ineffective in all honesty. It's a big mill spell, sure, but it's not one of our best by a long shot. They opt and play a Colonnade. Mainboard Surgical in blue-white control, eh? Modern is a fucking wild ride right now. Some mad shit. We stick an Orb and pass, they play a Narset, which makes our recalls a little weak. She ticks down and finds it's a Fairy Time Fender, which makes these Arco traps trash too. A sorcery speed mill 13 for 5 mana doesn't sound modern playable, does it? We play a freshly drawn Azcanta and pass back. Orb continues to grind them down, they play Teferi and bounce my Azcanta. I replay my search. I surgical their cryptic commands at sorcery speed, of course, to get a look at their hand. All creature removal. Oof, that's not good for them. We cast a sorcery speed trap and mill them for 13. We also get a good look at their library pre-board, not a huge amount of counter magic to be honest. They untap and scoop it up. Maybe milling their Teferi felt bad for them, as they will struggle to kill us with Colonnades if it's milling them for 5 every time off of the Orb. In game 2 I glimpse them and they turn to snappy surgical my Glimpse again because they really hate Glimpse. us. I was using it to test the waters for counter magic to stick our orb again. In response to the snappy, I surgical their colonnades to make their win conditions considerably slower and buy us time. However, it doesn't matter as we have one of our spells spell quellered, and then over time we have our mesmeric orb blown up by Blast Zone and our ensnaring bridge countered by Dovin's Veto. I also cut down on pinpoint removal post board because not expecting too many creatures, so this blindsided us and our removal looked pretty fucking weak against them. In game 3, Crab into second land into Manic Scribe is a good start. I attack with Crab to send a fucking message about crabs. Crabs! We play a Sheldog Isle, putting Glimpse under it, protecting it from those pesky fucking surgicals. We mill them and pass back. Third land drop from them, no spells. Our Brutality gets snared, and the following turn we get Snappy snared again on our second drawn Brutality. The following turn, our Glimpse gets countered by Cryptic. Bloody blue players, ruining people's fun. We cast a bridge the following turn, which we kept one of in post-board as an option to slow down their colonnade attacks and force them to have to deal with it. We're using this to beta counter and they fall for it and we get to cast Ancestral Recall whilst they're tapped out. They start to slap us down with colonnade, we untap with a lot of mana and options. I cast Search for his Canter and pass back. They continue the onslaught, we untap, find a fetch and mill them for 6. They cast Narset and find Big Boy Teferi. They cast it and we take this time to Surgical Veto, looking for a second copy in hand which they might have brought in from the sideboard to ensure they can't cast it against us once they untap with the Teferi. We see the hand as just Ceremonious Rejection for our bridges and orbs. Unlucky, we trap them for 13. GG Trap E. Turn 1, Semen Stains from them. We untap and slam a, I've written Glimpse in my script, but that's not right. What's it fucking called? An orb. That's it. This mills a Finale of Promise on their turn, saying it's a weird combo deck, or most likely just fucking Phoenix. We mill an Archive Trap off our untapped lands, and they surgical that. I'm just glad it wasn't Glimpse, as we have 2 of those things in hand. Main board surgicals, eh? Being used in the weirdest of ways. We Brutality them and are faced with a tough decision. Anything we take here gets recast by Finale anyway. We don't want them to bolt our Scribe as we want it to be an ongoing source of mill, but we don't want them to Manamorphose as a free spell for them to just enable their fucking Phoenixes or TT or similar. What would you take here? Comment below and tell me what would you have taken and what you think of my line. I take the Bolt as if they need to Finale to kill my Scribe, then it's them playing on my turns. It's a lot of mana, it's a lot of spells, and it's not using it to enable Phoenix. Visions? Manamorphose into Pyromancer's Ascension from them. Oh, this doesn't look good for us. Mill kind of enables this. I play a land and play a bridge. This will be good much later if they have a load of birds. We draw a Scribe, cast it, and then glimpse them. We decide at this point to Surgical the Finale in their yard to hit the one in their hand in order to reduce the amount of gas they have. This leaves their hand as a Phoenix and 3 lands. Got 'em. They looting out of the bin and looting the bird away, and then they cast a Bolt, doubling it and bolting us twice to 8. They then double cast a Grape Shot, taking us to 6. The birds rise from the ashes, but they are terrified, frozen in fear at just how manic this little Scribe is. Who would win? Who would win? 3 powerful lightning-powered birds or 1 manic boy? They die next turn to our sphere triggers. In game 2, Crab gets bolted. They try to have a good turn 2. Manamorphose into Thought Scourer. I really want them to then Faithless 2 birds into the bin so I can wreck them with the Surgical, but we never get to do this. Sadness. We turn to this beautiful orb of wonder and excitement. I wonder what wonderful surprises our opponent will mill over. No, it's just some shitty Phoenix cards. They crack a fetch and sleight of hand. End of turn, we mill them for 13 off of a trap. We put an Ashiok under the Dockland. Collective Brutality finds a rather painful hand. I decided to take the Pierce, hoping to be able to Surgical these bolts away when they tap out for a Chandra next turn. They loot a bird to the bin and pass back, missing a land drop. We make a land drop and pass back. They sleight of hand, then bolt our face, and look to set adrift our orb back to hand. In response, I Surgical the birds in their yards so they don't come back this turn. End of turn, we flash in an Ashiok off our Sheldog Isle. It's just like an Aether Vial. Just like one. There's no differences. We untap, miss a land drop, exile their graveyard, and mill them for 4 and slam orb. They untap, mill themselves some more. They cast Faithless, pass to us, and we can't do much. End of turn, they bolt the Ashiok and try to abrade our orb. We bounce it to hand. They cast one of the biggest fucking units I've ever seen. Lordy, that's one huge bitch.
That's a huge bitch.
We play orb, pass back, and they die without a card in their library. Got 'em. Have you got your PleasantKenobi merch? It's lined with magical cotton that stops the lizard people of Wizards of the Coast reading your heat signatures or detecting what you had for lunch with their magical laser X-ray eyes. If you're sick of SJWs injecting politics into your magic... I can't fucking say that. I can't say it. I can't keep a straight face while saying shit like that. Fucking hell. Get your limited edition PleasantKenobi t-shirt, only available now until the 17th of June. Get yours now. Disclaimer, t-shirt is not actually magical, I made that shit up. Fuck you, buy my shirt. Our hand has crabs, so although itchy, I might still give it a shot. We play a crab, then lead with a second crab into a land drop, they mill 6. Is this Grixis mid-range? Maybe control? Are they getting ready for the new Kess hotness? They instead mill themselves with Thought Scar after shocking. They shock themselves again down to 14 and play a Gurmag Angler on turn 2 thanks to our milling. Oh lord, that's one big fucking fish. Way bigger than our crabs.
That's a huge fish.
We cast an orb in the attempt to lure out stubborn denials.
Mission complete.
We go to 15 life after an attack and they play 2 more zombie fish. Wait, that's 15 power on board. Our life total is 15. Huh. I think they're trying to kill me. We slam a bridge and give all these zombie fish matching t-shirts. I came out before turn 4 and all I got was this lousy inability to attack. They fade this looting, digging for K-Command and we get to cast an orb. They untap, mill a K-Command and scoop it up. Perhaps they only had one main board K-Command and no Snapcaster Mage's main deck. Weird, but okay. Game 2 we lead Crab, they lead Thoughtseize, taking our Surgical and then Engineered Explosives on 1. Okay, cool. We hit a land drop and mill them. They seem to be enjoying it. We pass back and they pass back with 3 mana up and do nothing. We attack with Crab to send a message. Then we cast our Vision for 1 card and find a land drop. Delta. We play it, trigger mill, and then we crack it and they detonate the bomb before the land comes into play. Crab fishing with Engineered Explosives. I hope you have a permit for that, you fuck. A turn or 2 goes by, we both play lands. A Snapcast for Thoughtseize takes one of our dismembers. They play a 4/4 Shadow. We can't dismember this with our second dismember whilst this fetch land is up. They have only 1 crypt in their graveyard, so I assume they have at least 1 more to go and find and grow him. We get slapped and then we draw our second Surgical. They crack a fetch on end step and decide to dismember the Death Shadow now so they can't shock him to a bigger creature size in response. Instead, they go for Snapcaster Mage to stubborn denial it, so I Surgical the stubborn denial. We know their hand is just K-Command, which can bring back a creature, so I decide to Surgical that away before they untap and have the mana to cast it. They attack for 4 and we go to 7. We draw and play a Crab. We get attacked, I take it, go to 3, and I'm in Bolt range. I'm also in Street Wraith range. They play a Street Wraith. Shit. We need to draw a bridge here. This is not a bridge. We're dead. In game 3, Inquisition takes our Glimpse the Unthinkable and we draw another Dismember. A Bauble and 2 Street Wraiths later and our opponent fails to make a second land. Awkward. Then we miss our third land drop, which is equally as awkward. I want to play this Ashiok and turn off their fetches so fucking bad. They miss another land drop and so do we, but we do draw Glimpse and we mill them for 10. They hit a second land, fetch and cast Gurmag. We attempt to Archive Trap them to bait a counterspell and it works. They stubby DR Trap. We untap and dismember the Gurmag Angler. They don't have Stubborn Denial. It resolves. It kills it. Good. They hit 3 lands and play a Liliana the Last Hope. Weird card to keep it against mill. They can rebuy threats, I guess. They tick up. We untap and play Ashiok, which we use to exile their graveyard. They then tick up Lily. We untap and look to put her on top of our opponent's library with a Set Adrift. This succeeds and we mill her away with Ashiok. No ultimates for you today. Good, kind Lily. K-Command shoots Ashiok and makes us discard. We cast Visions and then discard the random land that it finds. A Grim Love Mantle from them. We adrift it and then mill them with Ashiok again. They crack their turn, now they're out from under the oppressive grasp of Ashiok and we draw a land. We eventually draw a Scribe, they draw and play a Jace, but we bounce it back to their hand with Echoing Truth and end step. We draw and cast an Ashiok, they crack a fetch in response and fail to find as all their fetchable lands are now in the exile zone. LOL. We mill 4 and they scoop it up. Currently 4-0 in a competitive league with blue-black mill. What the fuck is going on?
Final round.
Seachrome coast into Vile. This is either humans, spirits, or some mad cunt on a 4-day crack bender who thought it'd be a good idea to give blue-white taxes a go again before Horizons comes out. Place your bets now. Manic Scribe reveals that it's humans. Fun magic. Game 1 kind of goes as you would think. This champion of the parish attacks and we don't block due to fear of a lieutenant, and instead Meddling Mage comes down and names Glimpse the Unthinkable because people fucking hate Glimpse the Unthinkable, don't they? Oh, at least they respect it. We Surgical the Thalia to see if we can hit some in hand. Hand is instead just a load of gas, not a Thalia in sight. We Brutality the first champ and they attack again, and we can't risk blocking. We take 2. In our turn we cast as Canter and they activate Vile. So in response to the Vile activation I push the champion to death prior to the Vile resolving. A Meddling Mage comes in naming Fatal Push. Seems fair. Still stuck on 1 land, they play a second Vile. They then get in for 4 damage. No Lieutenant yet. Instead, another Meddling Kid naming Damnation. Fuck's sake. That's fine, we're not playing main board Damnation, so that's kind of a blank name, that's all good. We need to empty our hand and find a bridge. We hit a land drop, which is good. I feel to ruin them and play a second as Canter in order to enable Delirium on my Scribe, but I missed the fact that I could have trapped them here. and milled them for 13 thanks to the search from the field. This actually may have cost me the game, I think. Look, I'll show you. We get slapped for 9 with the lieutenant pumping the team. We have drawn bridge, so we need to buy a turn to empty our hand, but Archive Trap is just now stuck there, doing fucking nothing. And this deck that we're playing against doesn't play fetches. It could have also powered up this Crypt Incursion to be a really, really high amount of life that we gained. So yeah, not playing it was actually a massive punt, and I think it cost me the game. We let the Scribe trigger Resolve in their turn, and we cast Incursion to gain a load of life. We gain 18 to be exact. I also blocked to effectively gain more life and just pad our life total out. We're on 10 life and we play the bridge, but we now have 2 cards trapped in our hand. We'd only have 1 if I'd cast the trap. We get attacked by an Exalted 2/2. We need to find another Guild of Guin to not lose. I untap and I draw a creature. Now we know there's a Reflector Mage inside this Pokeball, so playing a creature here instead of a 5-mana spell is just strictly wrong, as Reflector Mage will put it back into a hand, and I suddenly have a hand size of 3 and my bridge is up. So I've got like perfect information. One of the great things about the mill deck is that because of Surgical, you get shitloads of information. I ignore the information and I cast my creature, and I realise that I fucked up. They bounce back to my hand. I have 3 cards in hand. 2 serious misplays cost me that game. I could have stabilised in and perhaps gone on to win. Okay, on to game 2. We on the play, they lead with Vile, which is what we want to see ideally, a less aggressive line of attack. We lead Crab into Scribe, although playing the Orb first might have been better of enabling Delirium and Delve, but they are counterintuitive mechanics anyway, unfortunately, so it's tough to say. They hit us with a Mantis. We set the Mantis adrift, which gets him milled next turn by the Orb. Meddling Mage on push is sloppy from our opponent as they crack their canopy, find Freebooter and play it. If they'd sequenced that correctly, perfect information from the Freebooter would allow them to name a card in my hand and probably won the game. Freebooter takes the damnation, we draw Fatal Push, which is kind of funny because now that name's just fucking solid and it shouldn't have been. Fuck my life. They play a champ and get in for a bunch of damage. We go to 6. Then we Crypt Incursion back to 45 life. Feels good. We draw Dismember. Which member? Dismember. Thank you, thank you. Please end my suffering. We kill the Meddling Mage with Dismember and they Vile in a Deputy to take out Orb. Once the trigger resolves, we just push the Detention Officer, as Revolt is enabled by the Detention Officer itself, taking out our stuff. We draw a fetch land, build them for 6, and then get to draw 3 cards. Absolute gas. We set the Lieutenant adrift, and they mill it in upkeep. They take a draw step and they scoop it up. This is it. This is the decider. Do we 5-0? Come on. Do we 5-0? 5-0 hype. Our hand is relatively solid. It has a removal spell and a lot of mill pieces. The opener is not what we want to see. They curve 1-drop into 2-drop into 3-drop. Not a single Aether Vial in sight. Oh, and that 2-drop, of course, is Thalia, Guardian of Thraben.
You are the chosen one! Bring balance to the force! Not leave it in darkness!
We take a shitload of damage on turn 3 and we look to figure out how to empty our hand as fast as possible to bridge them. But our glimpse costs 3. I consider glimpsing myself, or maybe even triggering the landfall to mill myself. But the problem is that this would then enable Delve and allow us to cast more spells quickly. The problem being that the bridge costs 4 mana because of Thalia. The glimpse costs 3. Because of Thalia. Image copies our Flying Mantis Monk Bastard and we take a shitload of damage, like a fucking metric shit ton. Throw our crab under the bus like some sort of fucking crab murderer. What have I become? Well, fuck. It's true what they say, you either die a Guardian of Thraben, or you live long enough to see yourself become the card that fucks up PleasantKenobi's 5-0 with blue-black mill. The sadness is very real. Ultimately, I really enjoy playing the deck. I think it's way more viable than people give it credit for. I know it's a bit of a meme, but I think the deck's actually pretty good. It's kind of the closest we've got to a blue-black control deck in the format, but it also has a proactive game plan so it can race the faster decks and finish off before you die. So what I'm saying essentially is that it's probably not a meme, and it's actually quite an effective tier 2 deck. And Ashiok's actually really quite good. Oh, and it plays crabs too, so I mean, it's got that going for it too, I guess. Let me know what you think of this deck list. For example, the next time I play this list, I'm cutting the Knights of Soul Trail on the board. I never boarded them in, as they seem bad against the meta game at large, and they're anti-synergistic with our Ensnaring Bridge plan, and they cost 4 mana, and yada yada yada. How would you improve this deck? Do you have any experience with the deck? And let me know. I hope you enjoyed the video. Drop me a comment, let me know your favourite part, what you liked about the video. Is there something you'd like me to do differently? Have you got an idea of what I should play next? Drop me a comment below and let me know. And please hit that like button, that helps the video more than you will ever know. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't already. I've been Vince, also known as PleasantKenobi on the internet. Check out the link to my Patreon down below, the merch as well, and go over to twitch.tv and follow me there as well. I stream every single Monday night at 7 PM BST, and some other times as well, which I announce on Twitch and Twitter and Facebook and YouTube and Instagram. All of those places I'm called PleasantKenobi. So until next time, when you embrace your lover tonight, think of me. Think of me. If you're getting intimate, imagine my face above their cock and balls or their puss. And imagine me going, go on. Do it. Do it. Do it. Ta-ta for now.